right, a beautiful morning. Welcome to Women's Corner. You know, we always talk about everything that has to do with a woman, whatever rocks her world, whatever rocks her boat, and that includes children and men. And of course, at the same time, we try to educate and empower you. My name is Rose Blossom. As usual, we always talk about something always very interesting and bring in experts to talk about that. And at the same time, we'll try to, you know, infuse some little content tips just to help you day-to-day activities, just to help your day-to-day activities. Today we're talking about child education in a lot of aspects. We're talking about the early age, we're talking about you know, the curriculums of how a child should learn, from what age and what age should they start imputing some difficult tasks. You know, the education is not just restricted to schooling, it's also both outside education and of course the role that parents need to play in the child's education. So we had to bring an educationist. Of course, she's a big speaker. So hopefully she's going to give us a lot of information, because I know our time is already fast spent. We're so sorry for starting up a bit late. But you know, before I introduce my guest for today, let's quickly go on a short break, and right after the short break, I will introduce my guest, then we'll start talking. Stay with us. Okay, welcome back. So we have Fidelia Emmanuel. She's an educationist, she's a girl child advocate, and of course she's the founder of Champions Academy. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good to be here this morning.
It's so good to have you. You know, it's very important that we talk about children. Before, you know, we always talk about women health, women this, women that, but it's a good thing we can talk about children's health, but the children's education. So the first thing I just want to ask, there is always this confusion of the age a child should even start crèche. And from the crèche, what exactly you think a child at that point should start learning? Do you think they should start learning numbers, the alphabet, or expressing themselves, or learning how to play, how to crawl? What exactly do you think is what a child should be able to do from the age of 2 before even getting to 5?
Thank you for that. So as an educator and as a mother precisely, when a child starts schooling, the first thing is not about learning 1, 2, 3, ABC. The child must be able to move his or her wrist. That's the first thing. And also, when trying to make a child learn, you need to implement the playway method. We call it playway method. Now, playway method has to do with they can use sand, they can use this cassava flour, you can just pour it in a tray. By the time they are scribbling, they are doing curves, the strokes, with all that, it helps to build their wrist to start moving. So it helps their wrist movements. And before you know that, they don't even need the help of a teacher
to hold their pen or pencil.
Yes, they start moving it themselves.
That's beautiful. I never actually know that. I didn't know that's actually, because most of the times you see people, finally he's going to school, you know, first day at school, and you see they are going to crèche. But most of the times it's more like they are eating, or they will start playing them, you know, videos. But is that actually still right too?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It depends on the age of the child precisely. Some children, they leave them in the crèche as early as 1 year plus.
But isn't that too early for 1?
Not too early. When we say crèche, it's a place where they also develop 1 or 2 things.
Okay.
They learn 1 or 2 things. How to say hello, how to say good morning. Yes, some children are like that. So it depends on the age of the child. So all those rhymes, it also helps their communication. Yes, the rhymes also help builds a child communication skills.
That's beautiful. Well, that's a good one. Okay, so now, what role, you know, you said something about scribbling, you said something about helping with the wrist, and I've seen sometime growing up then, you see some children, you feel like you just have to hold their hands while they write 1 or 2 or something, and you even find out sometimes you see some teachers, you know, they'll be shouting like, you didn't do your assignment, what was the parent doing? Now, what is the role of a parent for a child education from that tender age? What role should they play?
The role of the parent to help the child, the parents have to walk alongside the teacher. Like for instance, because I'm a mother, I know how to implement one or two things. But for a mother that is not into the teaching line, you need to work alongside the teacher. The teacher needs to put you through. Okay, this is what we are doing in school. Okay, why not do it this way to get a better result? So for a mother to get a better result on the child, you need to work alongside the teachers. Yeah.
So now, how about for the older ones now? Because they are still children. Like someone in primary 1, someone in primary 2, someone in primary 3. There are sometimes you find out that they can't even finish their home assessment, or the test was given to them. Now, what do you think parents should do to make sure that they kind of help they have to help their children? Because sometimes, yes, they are so much available. The children come home, they play, then you find out maybe late at night or early in the morning, they pick up their assignment, their homework, and they start doing it. Now, what are the few things that you think every parent should do once you have a child to help the child's education?
Yes, as a mother, as a parent generally, let's not restrict it to the mother.
Yeah.
As a parent, you need to make a child know that there's time for everything. There's time for play, there's time for screen time, and there's time to concentrate on your work. So even if the mother or the father is not there, the child knows that when my parents are at home, this and this is. So you need to instill that discipline, that the child knows that there's a time for everything, what time he or she is supposed to pick up. And maybe, for instance, sometimes the homework can be too much. When the parents come, it's their duty also to help out.
Yeah, that even brings me to the question, like, why do teachers actually give why do teachers give no, to be honest, I've seen some persons that you see a child like he or she has been in school from morning to like say 2, 3 evening, and you pack that series of assignments. You see the book, this quantitative, verbal, reasoning, different maths, English, and it's like 3 pages, sometimes 4 pages, and you see the child is even getting tired because learning has to be interesting, and that's what I feel. So for you, what do you think about teachers packing loads of assignments?
It depends on the school, but my own school will do that probably weekends. That's
okay.
Loads of assignments to occupy them.
During
the weekdays, we make it minimal.
So you don't actually subscribe to these so much. Okay, let's talk about some children. I've seen some children that they are quite smart, and maybe let's say they're in, I don't know, do we still have nursery 3? Is there anything like nursery 3? Nursery 2, okay, then there was nursery 3, and I felt that those nursery 3 are for people that were slowly catching up. Yeah, so they just moved them to nursery 3, but from nursery 2 you're supposed to go to primary 1. So now that's a different thing when they have to probably take it slow. There are some persons that from primary 1 they are probably so good, they are reading their books, they are so good, and they jump a class. From primary 1 they move over to primary 3. What do you say about, do you think educationally is right, or they need to, or is something that they can actually just scale through and keep doing? Some people write their WAEC at primary 4, primary 5. You understand? Do you think skipping a class is the way to go, or is something that if the child is very smart can always help out?
As a person, I actually do not subscribe to skipping classes.
A class?
Yes, I don't subscribe to it, because there are still some things the child needs to know in that class when she's skipping that child is missing out. So my advice to parents is they should let the child move in the normal state, move from one class to the next. I don't subscribe to skipping classes.
Oh, really? Because I think I and my younger sister had what do you call it, double promotion.
Okay.
Yes, we skipped a class each, and my parents did not agree, but definitely it was something, because he's an educationist too. He just likes read your books. We already know the time for reading books, we know the screen time as at then. So but I noticed that for now, then yes, some parents might stop it, some parents might enjoy it, but now you see a lot of people that it's not even the teachers now that are double promoting the children. It's the parent that's skipping a class. They'll tell she's in primary 4, let's write junior common entrance, or primary 5, let's write common. Is there primary 6? Is there a class 6? Yes, class 6. Oh, okay, that means I skipped class 6. So there are some now they now move over to I just feel like you said, there are some things they need to learn. There are some, I don't know, they have to give them time, because you see a lot of children now that in university at the age of 16, 15, Yeah, do you actually, as an educator, do you think it is wise to have a child that tender to be in a university that it's you can't monitor? Yes, fine, it's a private university, but you can't still be able to still monitor. And I feel like somehow maybe the brain is not well developed, or the character is not even well developed to be able to manage all the social activities. What's your say about those kind of things?
Like I said earlier, I don't subscribe to skipping classes, because sincerely, if the child goes through the normal process before you get to the university, let's say 16, 17, and I think then, and even before releasing your child to go to there should be a sense of maturity.
Yeah.
You should see that yes, this child can stand
Stay alone
on her own. So for parents, most nowadays we have so many parents. We've come across many of them trying to push the child. Even they'll start comparing maybe their neighbors' children. This child is so age, and start comparing. We don't compare children. You let the children, let the child enjoy that period of being a child. It's not pushing them to be
an adult
at that early stage. So you let the child go through the normal process, and by the time they get to the outer world, they'll be able to face whatever
challenges they come. That's true. I actually agree with that. I've always actually agreed with that, because sometimes when I see someone saying maybe they are 16, 17 and probably they're university, I'll be like, well, what are you doing there? Like, well, it's all well and good, but I hope we're taking this is an educational speaking, so you have to allow your child go through the process. Now let's talk about how much memory children can have. We've seen some children that, naturally, I don't want to say naturally, some of them are slow, some of them are fast, and that's where you see some African parents, no, he carried my brain, oh no, she's smart like me, no, she's this, like, and all of that, which I don't actually believe genes carries somebody being smart or intelligent. I just think it's God's given, or something somewhere just happened. But I just want to know, what kind of food do you think helps children develop their brain faster, and what food should parents make sure that they should avoid giving their children?
What is about food for children? Every child needs a balanced diet. That's just it. Every child needs a balanced diet, and at the same time, they should be given in the right proportion. Children need lots of vegetables and fruits. If we can provide that in their daily meals, it will go a long way, especially bananas. Bananas helps
with the brain.
Yes. So a child that is, should I call it a laggard in class, if the parents can provide banana. Sometimes we complain that some of these things are expensive. Not truly. It does not have to do with how expensive
it
is. Food is. Yes, vegetables. We have vegetables around us. Vegetables, fruits. All of this helps the child to develop, and also it builds their brain.
And helps really. I'm very sure anything that builds the brain definitely helps with the memory.
That's true.
The memory retention, which is very good. Like I will still say this. I said it yesterday on another show. I said lawyers are really doing great, because the way at which they cram some things, I'm certain that they were already ready. They were already ready from being a child to be able to have so much books in their head. Okay, let's talk about the importance of sleep for children. Like, now we know we have a lot of screen time. I will find out that some children have their own private tabs, and we know how children can claim to be very smart. You put them to bed and you keep the tab one side, and you think they are sleeping, you've gone to your room, but by the time you probably come out, they're already on their tabs again, probably watching movies till 9, or they are still outside playing till, what particular time do you think a child should already be in bed sleeping, and what time do you think is the screen time for every child, and what is the amount of sleep that every child should be able to have? That's like 3 questions in one.
Let me start by saying the timing for for each household varies, because it depends on, let's say for instance, parents that go to work and come back very late, not be able to monitor. But in as much as, no matter how busy the parent is, there should be limits on screen time. That's one. Number two, when you talked about children having tab in their rooms, and you have to know the type of children you have. I have, like my children now, my boy can be sometimes very, very naughty. So I know the extra when I need to go to discipline him.
Yeah,
So when
okay.
you know the type of children, maybe for instance the tab, you just take it away from the room. You understand? What I'm saying?
Okay.
Take it away from them. Make sure they don't have access to it. When it's time to sleep, they should know
sleep.
it's time to sleep. Yeah. So screen time varies, but at the same time, children should not. When they have too much access to screen, it affects their. Like for instance, sometimes ago, we come across some children, maybe during learning hour, they are sleeping. Why? Because we get to know that some of these children, even at 10, 11
They are still awake.
yes, they are still there watching movies, and the parents permit it. Why? Some of them will give excuse that I don't want him or her to disturb. No, you should be able to enforce a level of discipline as a parent. And lastly, you talked about the hours of sleep every child.
Every child should have.
Should I say minimum of 8 hours sleep. Yes, it helps. Minimum of 8 hours sleep. As a parent, you set the time. Okay, when it's social time, just go to bed. My children know that once it's 9 p.m., they are off to their room to sleep. So it's not left on the parents to make that time known that he or she must work
on that time.
Yes. And as parents also, we need to also lead by example. There's something, how will you tell the child to go
to bed and you are watching
movie? You understand? So you as a parent, you also need to lead
by example. That's very true. And that's very true because, you know, at some point, if you are watching movies by 9 and your child, you've said your child, one day while you are probably asleep, the child will probably go to the sitting room to continue watching the movie. So we have to lead by example. Okay, let me ask now, since we've talked about schooling, we've talked about screen time, let's talk about the benchmark for each age range. What are the benchmarks for a child education?
It varies. For me, I think age 2 to 5 still under the pre-basics, because now we use pre-basics and basic classes. Then we use KG,
yeah,
KG1,
KG2, KG, yeah,
KG2, primary. But now we use from the KG to the nursery to refer to them as pre-basics.
Okay.
So for me, age 2 to 5 the pre-basic, age 2 to 6 pre-basic, then 6, 7 basic 1 down to basic 6.
Basic 6, okay. So it's even no more primary. It's now basic.
Yeah, most schools now use
basic. Okay, we're not in the educational. So things are changing, and I like that. So so that means like you said you don't use the KG and all of that. So it's 2 to 5, 6 for pre-basic classes, then for basic classes from 6. So what age should someone in basic 6 be? At what age? Like, which you believe is the proper age to be in basic 6? What age range?
10, 11.
10, 11. Oh, that's nice. So definitely by the time you're in SS3, senior secondary school 3, you'll be like 16, 17, yeah. Okay. I think that's fair enough. That's actually a very good one. All right, welcome back. Yes, we're still here. Women's Corner and Fidelia Emmanuel is still in the building, and we're talking about child education. As you heard, most of what she has said right here on the studio is some of them that was actually mentioned in the tips for school students from any age. It's very important, especially that sleep. It helps to reset your brain kind of, so that your brain can rest and be able to function properly the following day. So I just want to ask now, I know a lot of people have issues with with teachers. Maybe the child feels lazy, or the child is not communicating properly, or the child is not learning properly. One thing or the other, you know how parents can be and how teachers can be sometimes if the communication is not right. Now, but I just want to ask you, as a founder of a school, how best do you think a parent should be able to relate with the teacher of his or her child, so that they can look for a better way, or more like a better way to actually help the child's education?
To answer that better, there are different types of parents. Yes, you can't compare the way a well-exposed parent will approach a teacher. It varies. But notwithstanding, as a teacher or as an educator, as one in the administrative sector, you need to, even the parent need to come to the realization that both of you are working hand in hand for the betterment of the child. So the parent should I say cooperate, try as much as possible to cooperate with the school, and also the teacher, whoever it is that the parent is confronting, should have a, they're just saying that customers are always right.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to hear them out
first, yeah,
before you school them on one or two things. Everything is still based on both the parents and the teacher should work hand in hand to see that the child involved is the betterment of the child.
Yeah. So that means for those women that, or parents, and I not use women, for those women that are probably, taking the fights to the teachers, like, okay, then about disciplining a child. There are some parents that would tell a teacher not to discipline a child, not to. What's your say about that? And what's your advice to parents who bring the fights to the school, knowing that there are other kids there and probably raising their voice and all of that? Because that should be an educational environment where there should be orderliness, discipline, and quiet, because people are learning. What advice would you give to them based on that? You own a school, and I'm sure you must have seen one or two like that, and you've handled cases like that. What advice will you give to parents now, and also the teachers in question that disciplines the children?
The fact that some parents do not know is that when they come to the school environment to embarrass the teacher, they are indirectly embarrassing themselves. So from my own angle, we don't, when the parents have, we make sure we enlighten our parents that when they have any issue with the teacher, they come to the school management. You don't
go to the teacher.
Yes. So by the time you speak out your mind, it's the duty of the school management to face the teacher and not the parents directly. We don't allow that, because by the time you give the parents access, that's why you hear some cases that a parent slapped
the teacher.
It's not supposed to be. So we sit our parents and we make them, if you have any issues, you don't face the teacher directly. You come to the school management. And for teachers that beat, sometimes some teachers leave their houses with maybe with frustration. Let's say how the economy of the country. Yes, and sometimes they start venting their anger on it's not proper. You beat, especially when a teacher is angry. You are not permitted to beat the child at that time. You make sure you are calm, or probably you report the child to the school management. So because by the time you are angry, by the time you are at that instance when you are hungry, you tend to beat the child in a way and sometimes you see bruises all over
their body,
which is not allowed.
In fact, talking about bruises, that reminds me, what do you say about parents okay, let's leave the teachers, parents that probably helping a child to understand something or sending a child on an errand, and you find out that they always tend to be abusive, not just even, maybe they are not even beating the child, but they are always cursing on the child. Do you think that's usually have an influence on the child's education, while like maybe when in class probably sleeping or probably thinking or not concentrating? Do you think those type of things affect children in class?
It does in very high extent, to a very large extent. It does, because sometimes I feel when a child is faced with some things at home, when some things are going, that's why when a child is in the class and he or she is moody, you try as a teacher, you need to come closer to the child to know what, because some of these children, they come to school traumatized, maybe some things that have happened their parents or something that is happening to them at home. So as a teacher, let me talk about teachers.
Yes.
As a teacher, you need to be very, very friendly with your children. When you see that this child is not, is always very active, all of a sudden you
withdrawn,
moody, you need to come closer to the child to get to know what exactly is happening. And sometimes some of these parents, should I say, it's the way they grew up. Yes, sometimes it has to do with their background. As they grew up, they try to even instill
the same thing to the child,
and the child also starts growing up in that regard. So as parents, we need to be intentional. Parents need to be very, very intentional. It does not matter the background or where you're coming from. You need to say, this and this was what my parents were doing that I don't want to continue. Parenting has to be intentional.
It has to be intentional, because I must say that, because sometimes when I see some women, but we are mostly the ones that actually say this some terrible things to children. Like you could send a child to go and buy something, and maybe he comes back with another thing, or forgot what you asked him or she. And the next thing you start hearing insulting words. And sometimes I'll be like, why are you wait, are you sure you are the one that did push for this child? Like, are you not feeling the pain? But you know, the sweet thing about it is, she's the only one that is allowed to insult that child. Another person should not insult, should not even send the boy a message, because we like, it's not your child, or you know, she's not your child, you understand? So I don't know, for parents, please reduce the abuse. In fact, stop the abusive words. Find a better way to communicate with your child. Play with your child. I don't know, laugh with them. Let them be you should be their secret opener. Like if they have something bothering them from school and all of that, they should be able to share with you, so that you're able to tackle the issue before it becomes a very big thing. My last question before I let you go is about bullies in school. I've noticed that a lot of times some children that get bullied end up not even liking school, not even just liking school. They end up maybe not even having friends, not being able to eat. A lot of things happen to them. I just want to ask, as an educationist, what do you think parents, teachers, and even school owners should do when they realize that there is a particular child that likes to bully every other children? What are the few steps one should first take immediately?
What are the steps to be taken for a child to be bullied? Before a child gets bullied, or should I say before it even results to that, as a parent, when your child gets home, my husband does that a lot. When he's at home, hope nobody bullies you. Our children should be able to speak up. Yes, because by the time the child keeps to him or herself, the child will easily be a prey to being bullied. So you make sure we educate our pupils that you must speak out. You must speak up, no matter who it is. When someone starts telling you, when you speak out, I will kill you. Yeah. Yes, that is a sign of bullying. Your mom, your dad, your teacher, you should be able to speak out. So to curb this, we don't really, because anything that even has to do with, when we see, should I say, something that looks like, we treat it immediately. Yes, we call on the parents because bullying starts before it starts from, I will beat you if you speak out.
Yes, yeah.
So things like that, when you see the traces, you need to
immediately.
Yes, you need to curb it immediately. But some people, they see something like that, and you just look away. We give the child, whoever it is that wants to be told, it will give them an edge to
bully. Yeah, the more
you need to. When you see the trace immediately, you start working on it. Call the parents, the guardians, and
you know, some persons will actually believe that, you know, a bully is usually a bully, that sometimes it's not because they have an issue at home, because maybe sometimes you see most of the children, because there's an issue at home, maybe the father is always beating them, or one thing, maybe the house is not just peaceful, or there's something he doesn't get at home, so he tries to get it outside in the wrong way and bullies other children. But this is just to say, if you know your child is a bully, or your child has been bullied, please talk to that is in school, talk to the management, the school management basically, and always talk to your child. Read some very nice positive words to your child, or let your child repeat after you. Give your child some boldness, just the way you are. I think that's all we'll be able to take today, because our time is already fast spent. I want to appreciate you so much for coming to the studio. I learned that it is now pre-basic, right? Yes, pre-basic and basic. Is no more primary. No wonder if my nephews are asking them questions, they'll be looking at me strangely like, what's this auntie saying? Anyway, I know, I'm sorry to you kids. Okay.